Well, hi there, I'm Jen from the Roving Crafters, and it's Sunday, so that makes this Sunday Stitch. And this Sunday we're going to talk about how to make the garter stitch tab that a knitted triangular shaped shawl starts from. Of course, not every single shawl will start this way, but the majority of knitted shawls, particularly the ones that are the triangle shapes and they start from the neck edge and work their way out and down. Well, this is the neck edge. This is how they start, with this little garter stitch tab. And once you have finished your shawl, your big, long, pretty, lacy, usually, shawl, you'd be hard pressed to find that garter stitch tab, but here it is on a fingering weight. It's right here. It serves as the very beginning, and you'll usually have this center spine of stitches going down the middle, and that comes directly off the center of your garter stitch tab. The garter stitch tabs are sort of made a little differently. You have to kind of, what I always call, go off the rails and find how to get these 9 stitches. Now, not everyone is 9 stitches, but most of them are. So those are the examples that I'm going to be making for you today. Let's get started on a brand new one. Okay, let's get started on a new one. I'm going to cast on 3 little stitches, and I'm going to cast them on fairly loosely. You'll save yourself some headache and some fuss later on if you make this cast on edge a little loose, because very soon you'll be picking up and knitting 3 stitches off of this cast on edge. So loose is better. Then most instructions will tell you to knit 6 rows, or they might say knit up 3 ridges. What you're going to need is 3 of those garter stitch ridges. So 1, 2, there's my first row. I got to add 5 more. So here is my 6th row with my very fiddly cord in the way, and you know I'm going to talk about how these fiddly cords, these big long the cords from the circular needles, can be an impediment when you're trying to make your garter stitch tab. Wow, I'm done with knitting my 6 rows here, but I'm not done yet. This is your tab, when they say the garter tab. There it is. And you need to end up with 9 stitches on your needle, and here are your first 3. The other 6 come from the sides. Usually the instructions will say something like pick up 6 stitches from the edges, and they might give you a clue and say pick up 3 from the edge and 3 from the cast on. Here we go. Stretch this out some. You're going to want to pick up a stitch in between the ridges of all 3, starting with the first one. And I like to go through 2 loops on the side to do my pick up and knit. Skip this ridge, go down in between the next ridge, and skip a ridge and go in between. Okay, now I'm up to 6, and it's looking sort of lopsided. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last 3 have to come from this edge, which was your cast on. If you turn it sideways, I'm sure you can see that little cast on edge. Go through 1, and I don't know if you could tell, but I've got my tail and I'm sort of holding it out of the way. I don't want it to get knitted up in anything yet. 2. Come here. And the third one. There you go. With your, that's the tail, with your working yarn here. Now you have a little garter stitch tab with 9 stitches, and you're ready to go. You're ready to work your shawl pattern. As I said, this can be a little fiddly, and I've worked with a lot of knitters, and I think that the biggest impediment to making one of these isn't that you don't know how to knit 6 rows. Of course you do, and it's not that you don't know how to pick up a knit, it's that it's so fiddly and fussy. So if you have double pointed needles, it might be good to start not with the circular that you're going to use to knit most of your shawl, but on a set of double points. Lucky for you, I have a set ready to go. Here we go. With my little garter stitch tab already made up, let's get started. Make a second one. Here's my working yarn. I'm going to hold that working yarn off to the right and use this side and this side to pick up 6 more stitches. We start with a new double point. There we go. And 3. And then for the third double point, do the cast on edge. And maybe you don't need this trick, but I think that anything you can do to save yourself a little headache, a little fussiness, is always a good thing. And there. Now you have your 9 stitches, and you can, with your working yarn over here, let's get you facing in the right direction. Working yarn right here. And I think that you, from here, you can certainly knit on to your circular shawl needles. Okay, well, I hope that gets you started making your garter stitch tab and on your way to making a whole bunch of lovely new shawls for yourself. Till next time.